Hello, my Sonic the Hedgehog fans. We just got ourselves the first reactions from people who have gotten to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This movie is inching closer and closer. It'll be here before we know it, and now we finally get to hear, is the wait gonna be worth it? I'm gonna be diving into some of the first reactions along with the first clip of the movie that they also released online that was pretty awesome. But it's not just going to be about my opinion. I want to hear from you guys. You're seeing these reactions. Do you take these early reactions seriously, or do you always think it's people overhyping the movie? Because I got both good and negative reactions. That's right, some negative ones. Along with your thoughts on that first clip they released. Okay, so in the past few days, a couple of people have gone to see Sonic Movie 3. They're allowed to give their social media reactions, but you're not allowed to give a full in-depth review until December 18th, which is good because I see the movie December 17th. 7 days, better hurry up, man. But until then, we have here now our first couple of reactions. So I'm gonna get into the positive ones, then I'm gonna get into some negative ones. Starting off here with one of the first reactions I saw, Sonic Movie 3 is an absolute blast and a dream come true. For Sonic fans, Keanu Reeves is effortlessly cool and brings so much style and raw intensity to Shadow, whose origin fans will love to see brought to life. Heartfelt, hilarious, and hands down the best Sonic adventure yet. Another review here says, it's not often that each movie gets better in a trilogy, but Sonic Movie 3 is the best of the bunch. There's action-packed goofiness, plenty thanks to Jim Carrey pulling double duty, but what I didn't expect was surprisingly moving performance from Keanu Reeves, and a third act that might make Sonic fans a little wimpy-eyed. Also, there's 2 big post-credit scenes, so avoid spoilers. It's clear Jeff Fowler and crew have a great affinity for the Blue Burr, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. One more before we get to talking about these. Surprising no one, Sonic Movie 3 is the best Sonic yet. It's also the best video game adaptation to date, with electrifying action, truly touching moments, and Jim Carrey doing what he does best. Sonic 3 marks a wonderfully chaotic end of the year. What an utter blast. Okay, so a lot to talk about. So we got a lot of people repeating the phrase best Sonic movie by far, and honestly I believe it. That first movie was kind of mixed. It was doing that formulaic thing of a fish out of water, bringing Sonic from his land into our universe so he can go on a little road trip with Donut Lord, but it was suitable enough. I had fun. Then Sonic Movie 2 came around and I really enjoyed it, but that's also because I was able to take in and enjoy a lot of the video game-isms that the movie was leaning into. That's where maybe it was starting to divide up general audiences, but this third movie feels like everything Sonic fans have been wanting. Seeing Shadow actually brought in, doing his origin justice, because that's the thing I was most scared of. Because heck, let's talk about that clip that they just released. So they revealed a 1-minute 40-second clip that is the first battle between Team Sonic and Shadow. I overall gotta say this clip hyped me up, especially seeing the way Shadow takes down Knuckles, like using his chaos control. It is reminding me of some sort of Dragon Ball Z fight, and a bunch of these reactions talk about the final battle being something to really behold. I can only imagine what that is, with this being one of the early fights in the movie. But even with this clip being awesome, the comments are bringing up something I was kind of scared of with this movie. Can it balance some of that kid humor with the more serious moments, and will it take away from Shadow's dark personality? Like, this is kind of funny.
Why do you look like me?
I don't look like you. You look like me. Why do you look like me?
Shadow genuinely seems confused why Sonic looks like him, but it is that kind of thing where it feels like there's a joke every other sentence. It gets a little corny.
Now come on, you can't take us all at once. Okay, he took us all at once.
And some of that takes away from the serious tone of the movie that some were hoping for. And with these first reactions, I was wanting to see if that is an issue in the movie, and well, that leads us into some of the negative reactions from people who saw Sonic 3. So one of them actually surprisingly comes from Soups, a popular voice online who is mainly known for hyping up movies, is one of the only semi-negative reviews on Sonic 3. So he starts off with, I liked Sonic Movie 3. It has the perfect action in the trilogy by far. Keanu is perfect as Shadow. Jim Carrey doesn't disappoint. And there's a lot of cool moments, but the big emotional ones felt hollow to me. It didn't move me the way they did in the first two films, which were also funnier. This film is constantly racing towards the next action scene and felt a little generic in its story. There's still really cool stuff to see, and I enjoyed it for the most part, but I wish I liked this more. That was kind of surprising, man. I've been seeing Soups hype this movie up as much as I have, and sometimes we put a movie we're so excited for on a pedestal that when we go see it, there's no level of awesomeness we could watch that meets that hype level. But he does mention the one thing I'm kind of worried about with this movie is that some of the emotional beats in here feel hollow. I want the Shadow backstory to hit along with whatever emotional moments there are, because there's other reviews saying that there was people who were crying by the end of the movie. Heck, there's even one surprisingly emotional thing I wasn't expecting, which comes from Jeffrey Vega, who works for IGN, saying, "I've seen Sonic 3, and I was surprised that my favorite emotional arc was actually with Dr. Robotnik. The cast is wonderful and goofy as ever, and I teared up when I heard spoiler. Also, you are not prepared for the mid-credit scene." That's one of the goofy parts of the trailers. We were kind of wondering, how are they going to make sense of all these weird scenes with Jim Carrey playing both Robotnik and Gerald? But it seems like they're going to lean into that and have an emotional heart with it, and I kind of can't wait to see. But getting on to what is probably the most negative review I've seen so far of Sonic 3, that says, "The only way I can describe Sonic 3 is as a Marvel movie mixed with a Minions movie mixed with Spy Kids. Everything from the franchise, good and bad, is multiplied by 100. Shadow remains the coolest fictional character in history." So even the negative reactions are saying Shadow remains awesome. Keanu cooked in there. They did some badass stuff with him, so that's good. We did not want Shadow to be ruined, but man, calling this movie Minions with a Marvel movie mixed with Spy Kids, that is a ham sandwich I don't know if I want to take a bite of. And I take a lot of bites of ham sandwiches. And also mentioning the good and the bad is multiplied by 100. Oh, that's also a little scary, right? Because that means the cool moments of this movie are like, oh, dude, yes. But the bad stuff, it's gonna also be hard to ignore because it's just as high. It's giving me a little bit vibes of like Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's a movie where I think the highs of that film are so good, so awesome, but I also cannot ignore some of the very bad stuff in that film and why it's a mixed bag. But I kind of doubt this movie will be as divisive as Amazing Spider-Man 2, although we'll find out in a couple of weeks. The only thing left to wonder and speculate now, which I'm too afraid to dig deep on, is these mind-blowing post-credit scenes. We had heard there were 2 of them, people coming out of the screening saying yes, and that they definitely hint to the future of the Sonic movie universe. But what's interesting to me is I feel like these are the first post-credit scenes in the Sonic movies where your guess is as good as mine. It was obvious in the first movie the post-credit scene would be Tails, and he was that. Then in the second movie, with already having Knuckles and Tails part of the story, of course the post-credit scene would be Shadow. Now for this third movie, I don't think it's an obvious pick. My obvious choice is Amy. But seeing so many people like overhyped and reacting real big, is Amy that big of a post-credit scene? The thing that would make me go crazy is something like a Metal Sonic. That's what I would want to see. But other people want Silver, and then I'm also wondering, well, is Silver or even Metal Sonic or even Amy big enough of a character that general audiences would go crazy? I really don't know, and I'm afraid to find out, so I don't even know if I'm peeking into the comments section. These next couple of days, we better hide, because I do not want this ruined and spoiled for me. But this is now where I throw it off to you guys. You have seen the first reactions for Sonic Movie 3. Do they excite you? Do they worry you a little bit? I will say, honestly, this is what I was expecting. Really awesome movie with a couple of cringy moments, but I don't think those moments will take away from how fun this movie is said to be. I'll let you know my thoughts whenever I eventually see it next week, because I'm still counting down the days. Let me know your thoughts on this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.